The bitter wind howled through the shattered windows of the abandoned building, sending a shiver down my spine as I stepped cautiously into the darkness. The place had been deserted for as long as I could remember, and it was a well-known spot in our small town for daring teens to venture into on a dare. I had always heard the stories, the whispers about what lurked in the shadows, and the terrible things that had happened within these decaying walls. But tonight, I was determined to confront my fear, to prove to myself that there was nothing to be afraid of. My footsteps echoed through the empty corridors as I made my way deeper into the building. The air was thick with dust and decay, and the silence was oppressive. I had brought a small flashlight with me, its feeble beam slicing through the darkness like a knife, revealing peeling wallpaper and broken furniture. The building had once been a school, and it was clear that time and neglect had taken their toll. As I ventured further into the building, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched. I told myself it was just my imagination, that my fear was playing tricks on me. But every creaking floorboard, every rustle of unseen rodents sent a chill down my spine. I pushed deeper into the building, my curiosity overpowering my fear. The stories I had heard over the years were hard to forget, tales of a malevolent presence that roamed these halls, seeking to ensnare anyone foolish enough to enter. People had gone missing here, or so the stories went, and those who did return spoke of strange visions and eerie encounters. My flashlight flickered, and I cursed under my breath, fearing it would give out on me. I couldn't see much ahead, but I pressed on, determined to explore every inch of the place. As I turned a corner, I saw a door partially ajar. It looked like it led to the basement, a place where I had heard the most chilling stories. I approached the door cautiously, the darkness beyond seeming impenetrable. I took a deep breath and pushed the door open, revealing a narrow, winding staircase that descended into the abyss. My flashlight cast eerie, dancing shadows on the walls, and I hesitated for a moment. But then, my curiosity got the best of me, and I began my descent. The steps creaked and groaned with each footfall, and the air grew colder the further down I went. I could feel a sense of foreboding, as though the darkness itself were closing in on me. The stories I had heard about the basement filled my mind, tales of unexplainable horrors that had driven people to madness. As I reached the bottom of the staircase, I found myself in a dimly lit chamber. My flashlight flickered again, threatening to die, and I was plunged into near total darkness. Panic welled up inside me, and I fumbled for my phone to use its feeble light. The basement was filled with the detritus of years gone by, broken furniture, decaying textbooks, and twisted metal. But what caught my eye was a series of strange symbols etched into the walls. They looked like something out of a macabre ritual, and a cold sweat broke out on my forehead. I could hear a soft, distant whispering, like 1,000 voices murmuring in the darkness. It sent a chill down my spine, and I desperately searched for the source. That's when I noticed a flickering light coming from a small doorway at the far end of the basement. My heart pounded as I approached the doorway. The light was growing brighter, and I could now hear a rhythmic chanting, as though a sinister incantation was taking place. My flashlight had died completely, and I relied on my phone's light to guide me. As I entered the room, I was met with a sight that will haunt my nightmares forever. In the center of the chamber, a group of figures in tattered, hooded robes stood in a circle, their heads bowed in reverence. Candles surrounded them, casting eerie, dancing shadows on the walls. Their chanting grew louder and more frenzied, and I realized that they were summoning something that should never have been brought into this world. Panic overtook me, and I turned to flee, but my footsteps betrayed me with their loud echoes. The robed figures turned in unison, their faces hidden in the shadows of their hoods. And then, in the dim light, I saw their eyes, dark, hollow voids that seemed to devour all light. I stumbled backward, unable to tear my gaze away from those soulless eyes. They began to move towards me, and their chanting took on a sinister, melodic quality that filled my ears with a sense of dread. I turned and sprinted back the way I had come, the sounds of their footsteps echoing behind me. I burst out of the basement and up the stairs, my heart pounding in my chest. The oppressive darkness seemed to close in around me, and I could feel a malevolent presence pursuing me. I finally reached the ground floor and made a desperate dash for the exit. As I burst out into the cold night, I could still hear the chanting behind me, growing fainter with each step. I ran as fast as my legs could carry me, my breath coming in ragged gasps. I didn't stop until I had reached the safety of my own home. That night, I couldn't sleep. The horrors I had witnessed in that abandoned building haunted my dreams, and I knew that I had come face to face with something beyond my understanding. The stories I had heard were not just tales, they were warnings. There are places in this world that should remain abandoned, and I had learned that lesson the hard way. From that day forward, I never set foot near that building again, and I hoped that whatever I had encountered in the basement would remain trapped within, never to escape into our world again. But the memory of those hollow eyes and the haunting chant would stay with me forever, a reminder of the darkness that can lurk in the most unexpected places.